So yeah, so anyway, it was while in ICU, my family and the doctors didn't have a clue, where, exactly this was going. Unfortunately, they couldn't tell my family what was happening. My body was completely unresponsive for a good 3 weeks. They didn't know what was going to happen. I was just in ICU. The machines were keeping me alive, literally on life support, and they had estimated from the get-go about 6 months recovery, but I can gladly say it was a month and a half. And that in itself is a miracle, because um, of my physique, they say that my body was in a good condition, was very healthy, and again, credit to rugby. So I'm very fortunate to survive that. And then eventually, when I was obviously awake out of ICU, I was still in hospital. Obviously, I had lots of psychiatrists and psychologists obviously coming to counsel. Believe it or not, and this I think is again, just due to the mental, fitness of my of or rather the state of my mind, and more than anything, I think my belief and solid and being solidly planted in my belief and trust, in a greater God that I believe in. I was at such peace. I was just glad that my mom was alive, and I guess I was glad that I was alive too at that stage. And they were talking to me and counseling me, and after the counseling sessions, which I remember so clearly, they told me that they felt more counseled than by me than the other way around. Because as they were talking to me, I was telling them, listen, I've forgiven the guys that did this. I believe that things happen for a reason in life. I don't think that things happen. I think I'm alive right now for a purpose of believe I'm alive for a reason. And so again, for me, it's I'm just really fortunate that I was at that point where mentally I was so fit mentally that I took the responsibility myself that this is my situation now. The guys that did this, they can't help the situation now. They can't help make me feel better. It's my responsibility. I need to now, you know, deal with myself. And that helped my recovery a lot. I mean, Charles, like you're a psychologist. You know all about the mind. You know exactly. You know all these things, and that's what helped my recovery. My recovery was 3 to 4 times less the duration that they anticipated. So anyway, they then suggested, the doctors, everyone together, that I then take the next 6 months just being at home recovering. But I chose not to. I got discharged from hospital. Immediately after being discharged, my matric results then were then released. I think post 20 Jan, and then they were better than what I expected them to be, and I think 5 days after being dispatched. Now, mind you, after being discharged, I think after being discharged from hospital, or just like before being discharged, I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to talk again because my voice has completely been damaged by the ventilators. So my voice box was a bit damaged. I had to learn. I had to do speech therapy. I had to learn how to walk again because I just couldn't walk at all. So it took me about a week or so to learn how to walk again. And I'd lost, I think, about 22 kgs just in my duration in hospital. So I was a completely new person, completely new life. Everything that I worked so hard for, towards, had completely just been flushed away. But I think, you know, one thing that, to anybody watching this, is that the key thing, I mean, there's actually a book that I read, I think, a few months ago, speaking about the 12 traits of the great. And one of those things is responsibility, is that anybody who strives to be great in life, one of the key things that's consistent amongst all those people who've ever been great in life, matter of fact, is responsibility. They take responsibility and ownership of their circumstances, of their situations. And life happens. Life happens. We can't avoid it. Things happen to you at times, by your own fault. You do it. It's a result of your own doing. Times it's a result or outcome of life, extrinsic things. So whatever it is, whether it's internal or external, you need to take responsibility for that. And because once you take ownership of that, then you detect, you know, things like the healing duration, how quickly you recover. So that's what helped me, is that I was able to just take ownership of my life at that stage and be like, you know what, cool. I'm not gonna dwell in sorrow and feel sorry for myself. This is life. I believe I've been given a second chance. I believe I am here today, and there's a purpose for that. And I just strive every day to just live towards that purpose and just to become a better person than what I had been previously. And so I chose to hop on a bus from the town. And mind you, this is probably 2 weeks or so after being discharged from hospital. I decided to hop on a bus, come all the way to Pretoria, get my HESA certificate, go to University of Pretoria and say, here are my results, what are you guys saying? And then they were saying, you're not good enough, they're just below, they're just below the minimum requirements or whatever. But I think because of the schooling system that I went to, they said it was a good schooling system, so I had good foundational background or whatever. So they just took a chance and got me in. I got in, and I made myself a promise. I made myself a vow that day that I would work so hard that they would never have to regret that, and that I would be satisfied with myself. Because this was not my new life. Sports are out the window completely, and now I had to take that same mentality of working so hard and diligently towards striving to be better and excel in sports, and bring that now to my academic life, in university. And that's exactly what happened. So I then hopped on a bus again, went down home, packed my bags. My mom brought me back to university, and I was weak, fragile. I could barely walk 300 meters without having to stop and sit down. So that's what my first year career was like. A lot of people that knew me from high school, like, what, Zam, just you, so skinny, just be big, and that was that. And I could have easily taken that in a bad way, with obviously self consciousness and whatever. But because I think my mind again was in such a good state of, I was in such a good state of mind, that didn't even affect me at all. I took it gladly, and because I knew my purpose. That, you know what, I'm not here, to be the same person I was. It's just a new opportunity. I'm gonna take it as is, and that's exactly what I did. So throughout varsity, I excelled in the classroom, surprisingly, which was a surprise to my family. I was like, "What? Who's studying for you, bro?" But yeah, man, I just tried to do my best, which I got through my entire varsity without failing a single subject. I got through in record time. I was part of the Golden Key Committee, which was recognized as the top 15 percent academic achievers in the university, and that was quite good, I guess, for me. It was soft rewarding. I think the rewards that or the work that I put in, I think, was rewarding to me, because I'd put in the work, I'd sacrifice hours. University years, I'd barely go out because I just knew that, what, everybody that's here got in here because they worked hard to get in here. I just got pushed into here. I'm here. It's just a miracle, and it's just favor on my life. So I just need to work that much harder, and just that similar mentality of saying, listen, I don't know what the other guys I'll be competing against at trials are doing right now. I won't say everybody in my class is partying tonight. No, forget that. I know my part. And again, it's just that thing of surviving death, and I think surviving death is just so key. Is that death comes in many forms, comes in many ways. For me, it came in both, in the literal and in the and figuratively as well. I faced death in terms of, obviously, in the literal sense, where I literally nearly died, where I was on a deathbed, not no one knowing, one of the best doctors and surgeons in the country not knowing where exactly my fate was lying. And again, in terms of now death, and figuratively speaking, is that I had dreams and desires that face death. My rugby desires, my rugby goals, all of that died away. And so as a person, I just think, as people rather, I think it's important to get to a point where you know how to survive death, because death comes in many ways and forms. Your dreams could die away, your aspirations could die away, your passions could die away, whatever it is. But the most important thing is not the death; it's the surviving part. I remember. In my first year at university, just after my shooting, I'd often tell my friends and myself is that if we survive just to survive, then what's the point of surviving? We surely survive. We should survive to live, to survive to try for something better. So that's just always my encouragement to anybody facing anything is that you might face death in many ways. Your family, might be the cause of death, whether it be, intentionally or unintentionally. But, they might cause death. They might cause death to your dreams. They might tell you to go different direction that you aspire to go to. You might face circumstances like I did, where your life has to change, dramatically because of external factors. That's You need to survive that death, And when you survive the death, don't survive merely to survive. Survive to live, To because as people, I think we are organic, and anything organic is grows. Anything organic, anything that's a living organism is organic, and if that's the case, it means it grows. And as people, we should ought to strive for growth in every area, in every aspect of our life. And I'm not just saying this preaching as a motivational whatever. I'm saying this as my life, because that's what my life has become. I've survived death on many fronts. Now I've managed now to get, I've just recently completed, I think my fifth qualification. I've got a qualification now from, I think, 3 different universities, and I'm still now, striving for it. I just told you, I just finished my master's degree last year, and I'm still striving for that excellence in everything I do, because I think that just should be a way of life. And in the journey, and in the process, it's not easy. I mean, I speak about it now from a thing of it's been done. But if I were to take you through the journey, it's difficult. I mean, I chose to do both my honors degree and my master's degree full time while working full time. Now you can imagine the strain that caused just on my life as a person, on my health, on my family, on my relationships, everything. I can tell you right now, just to give you a quick extract of what my life last year doing my master's degree was like. I'd wake up, I'd arrive home after work, 4 or 5 o'clock. I'll then sleep till 9 o'clock. I wake up. I then work throughout the night till 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock I shower, I go to work. Get to work, but get to work quite early because I leave quite early. I would have an hour and a half nap before work. Get up, get in the office. I'll work all day. Lunchtime, depending on how tired I am, I'll either study or take a nap in the car. After work, 4 o'clock, I then head to Pretoria. From Johannesburg to Pretoria, get to Pretoria. I have class at 5 till 9, sometimes later. After class, I then take a nap, about 2 hours, 1 hour, and then the library. Latest 11 o'clock, I'm in the library. I then work till 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, I'll class to my friend's place, at Dean and Robin's place. I shower there, go back to work. Get to work, take a nap, come back. When I don't have classes, I'll leave work, come to Pretoria, have something to eat at 5, nap 6 o'clock, wake up at 9. I'm in the library all night. That was my life. For the last 2.5 months of my master's degree, I did not sleep on a bed. Right? I slept in the car, snaps in the car, 3 hours, because I could have slept in a bed. There was a bed available, but I just chose not to because it was too comfortable. Whenever I sleep on a bed, I'd oversleep, and there was just too much work to be done in such a short period of time. And I guess that was the consequence of the decision that I chose to make, which was doing it in full time. But then again, it's just that thing of I knew what I was working towards. Again, those 3 questions were still, there in my life. Where am I? Where do I want to be? How do I get there? I told myself I needed to get this degree at this stage, and that's exactly what I did. What do I need to do to get there? I even took it as, even if there is failure along the way, that's okay. That's okay. You know what I mean? It's I don't lose anything from failure. I gain from failure. Let's say if I fail the module, cool, no stress. I'll fail that module, and the following year I'll come back and I'll do better than what I probably would have done this year. But fortunately I managed to pass everything. And that alone is just the work that you need to put in. And mind you, at this stage I'm in a relationship. I'm working a very demanding job, and still manage to obviously charter the waters. So again, as people, we just need to get to a point where we push ourselves. I then sacrifice is key as well. I sacrifice sleep. I sacrifice my health. I wasn't able to go to gym, and inevitably, I gained a lot of weight. I think I probably gained like 15 kgs in the past year and a half. So that was quite a lot of weight that I gained. But beginning of this year, I told myself, listen, before end of March, I need to be in a in a physique, or at least in a body condition that I'm happy with. So exactly what I did. Now for the past month or so, I've been on quite an intense diet. I think I've lost about 10 kgs in the past 3 weeks. So again, it's just that thing of, it's just, this is just my story, and I'm not saying that anything that I'm saying now needs to be applicable in anybody else's life. But I think if there's anything that anybody needs to take out of this, is just the thing of, as a person, push yourself, because you do not know your limit. And the more you push yourself, the more I think you stretch yourself as a person, and then the more you develop and mature as a person. And that's what it's been for me. Still now working a very demanding job, and on top of that, I still have my church commitments. I still have my business commitments as well, which was our business as well, Elevate Fitness, which I started in my university year with two of my very close friends, which is still on today. And I think in the past 5 years, I think we've employed over 800 sports coaches. At any point in time, I think we have anything between 150 to 190, 200 coaches coaching, at different schools all over Pretoria and Johannesburg for us. That's something that we started, as university students, saying, let's just see how we can, really test and grow our, business and entrepreneurship desires and whatever it is, whilst, helping and empowering other people. And that's what we've done. And we're still doing it to this very day. And obviously we do that whilst working our full-time, 9-to-5 job, so to speak. So yeah, man, it's just that thing of, personally as a person, I'm just always trying to push myself to get to the point where, I can get the most out of myself. And just because I really believe that as people, we need to survive death and do what we need to do to get to where we need to be.
It sounds like you've thrived through a lot of your life. I think the psychologist in me is somewhat thinking to yourself, where is the balance? Where is it found? But I get the sense that for you the balance is once you reach that final place, and then you get an opportunity to rest thereafter. But if there was a brief comment, statement that you would make, for anyone that's watching this right now, what would that be?
Yeah, I think perhaps just to encapsulate everything I've said, would probably one of two things. All right, first thing is what I've said earlier, is that we survive not to survive, we survive to live. You're watching us right now, you're alive. All right? And if you're alive, surely you should strive for something better. All right? Secondly, is that, I think a lot of what I've achieved personally as a person, there's still lots to achieve. I don't think I've made it in life, but I think I continue to push myself to new levels, and just push myself to do better in anything and everything I do. Secondly, is just get to a point where you're able to, in every area that is, have short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. And that's what I do, and that's what I've done for my entire life. Is everything I do. Short-term sacrifice, long-term gain. I sacrificed a lot last year, but this master's degree I have now, ain't nobody taking that. It's mine forever, and that's what I've done in everything, even in my relationship with my girlfriend. We decided since 2017 to be celibate, right? Because I knew that this is a person that I want to live the rest of my life with, and same mindset. So let's be celibate. Let's just preserve ourselves for marriage and whatever it is. And that's what it's been since 2017. It hasn't been easy, but short-term sacrifice, long-term gain.
Thank you, Zamine.
Boy. Is that it?